What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? I just briefly want to talk to you about do not fear delay and setbacks. It's part of success. Recently I have had the unfortunate experience of losing a lot of people in my life. I mean, it seems like every week I'm going to a funeral and it just seems like, you just are overwhelmed with, bad news or uh, you know, just everything just going bad. And I came on to give you some encouragement. Let me share my testimony. For many of you all, you know that I am a retired judge, okay? And when I had decided to run for judge, I was a very young woman, okay, very young woman, and I was 30 years old. So I prayed about it because I said, Lord, I feel that I should be doing something else. And God told me, it was during a fast, you will be a judge. And I questioned it. Nothing, when, what? So I was young. So at that point, I said, well, God is giving me confirmation. I'm about to be a judge. It's on and popping. I worked at 36th District. I knew about 36th District. I was ready. I'm like, look, I'm about to be a judge. Hey, come on, let's go. And there were things that God had to prepare me for. So, I'm out here in these streets, feeling good about it, getting support and everything. And, lo and behold, I did not win. And I had shared with people, they said, well, I thought your God said you was going to be a judge. You was telling people God going to make you a judge. So, like, what happened? I came close, but what? Close is what? First loser. So I'm like, wow, God gave me a word and it didn't get fulfilled. Let me tell you this. In the Bible, David was anointed to be king, but sent back to the field. Huh? He was anointed to be king, but his time had not come because there was preparation. So he like, well, let me go tell Saul he got to go because, I'm the king now. It don't work like that. It's a time and a season for everything. And let me tell you about that second season when I decided to run. All hell broke loose. If I thought that I got the support from this person they reneged, it was confusion. It was disappointment. I was like, oh my God, I done stepped out here a second time. I'm a young woman with a family. God, what's going on? Said, keep moving. Prior to me running the second time, Bishop David Ellis, when I was at Greater Grace, he said, you gonna be a judge. Then he passed. I'm like, oh, this this my spiritual leader, this my he kind of, and it left me, and at that time, Pastor Charles Ellis, he just becoming the pastor of this huge church. And now he trying to help me to guide me with my campaign. And it was overwhelming. It was a lot for both of us. But let me tell you something about God. When God give you a revelation, don't run and tell nobody. It ain't that it's not going to come true. Everything has a time and a season to manifest. Just because you plant seed today don't mean that you're going to have a tree tomorrow. It don't work like that. It takes time to manifest. You know what the sign was to me in retrospect? That I knew God was working. When all hell break loose in your life, you about to come up on the blessing. See, delay and setback is used to bring you closer to God. Okay. So even though I was relying on, Bishop David, when the Lord called him home, and now then Bishop Charles, who was pastor, he had stuff to do. I had to rely on God. It wasn't nobody else I could rely on. Then wait a minute. I'm going to 36. God done had me to do some petitions for Third Circuit. I don't know nothing about that. I'm like, I don't know nothing about 36. That's my home. That's what we do. See, the elevation was greater than what I believed it was. See, God had me to go to a higher level, but he had to work on me. From 30 to 32, he had to work on me. He had to bring me closer to him. And how he was able to do that was disappointment, setback, because what that did was it made me rely more on God than on people. I'm thinking, well, God gave me the word, everybody, they just gonna run out the woodwork to just say, I'm with her, we together. It didn't work out like that. And so what God had to do was pull me to him. So I had to trust it. You know what I'm saying? When I was living in a building, the man said, "Are you a minister? Because every day I hear you playing a role, you playing your music." I needed that. From the time I got up to the time I went to bed. If it could go wrong, it did. But that was God's way of making me trust him. If you find yourself going through something and it seemed like, damn, everything I touch, it's not working out. It's because God is doing something in your life. Fast forward. The night of the election, all my election workers was at a different poll than what they were supposed to be. And I got something from the Fannie Lou Hamer. And the title of it was Don't Turn Back Now. And I said, well, that's it. It's over. I didn't do it. Well, of course, I did become a judge and I became a circuit court judge. But God's blessing was greater than what I was prepared for. So he had to pull me back. He said, you ain't going to a court you're familiar with. You're going to sit in a seat that you're not familiar with. And the first thing that I did when I took that seat, I was like Solomon, God, give me wisdom. Give me wisdom and discernment because I need it, because it was something new. And I believe that, in my opinion, I did pretty well at that. God is using delay, setback in order to bring you closer to him. The blessing that you asked for, it ain't going to be nothing like what you thought. You thought you going to get little. God about to get you big. God got to get you so big, you don't even know what God going to do. But all you can see is the delay, the setback. God didn't say that. People will talk you out of it. That's why stop sharing your dream. It ain't that you don't believe God, but there's a time and a season for it to manifest. So if you find yourself in a very dark season and it seems like, I just can't get a breakthrough, I get this close, and it's like, oh no, you want to give up. You just think, I just can't do this no more. You closer than you think. You closer than you think. Who would have known? Let me share this. Voted most likely to fail with a 1.1 grade point average, 1.5, I'm going to say. Okay, graduate from high school, end up being the last recorder's court judge, the second Black woman, the first being Geraldine Bledsoe Ford and me. Huh? God see the interruption? That wasn't and God uses the unlikely to do the extraordinary. The unlikely to do the extraordinary. And if he can do it for a shepherd boy, he can do it for you because he did it for me. Don't give up. This is your sign. You've been asking, somebody said, you know what? I need a sign of encouragement. I don't believe that what I'm doing is, this is it. This is your sign. This is your sign to not give up. You closer than you think. When you see distraction, baby, you closer than you think. And when it manifests, you're going to be like, whoa. You understand that? Be blessed. Let me get off of here because the enemy messing around, but trick no good. Talk to you soon. Love you.
Hi, I'm Vonda of Vonda's Law, and for 22 years I was a judge right here at the Wayne County 3rd Circuit Court. I just flipped the script. Can't nobody else do this. Now I'm in private practice. If you've been seriously injured in a car accident, charged with a crime, convicted of a crime, going through a divorce, or denied an insurance claim, we can help. Let my aggressive team of affiliate attorneys fight for you. Vonda's Law, we do it all. A name you know and trust. I just flipped the script. Can't nobody else do this.